Everyone, and welcome to another TechExcel webinar. Today we're going to be talking about what's new in DevSuite 9.1. I'm Jason Hammond, and I'm going to talk a little bit about just some basic housekeeping items and the overview, and then I'm going to turn over to Vineet, who will be doing some demos of some features, and then I will demo a couple features at the end. This webinar is being recorded, so it will be available on our website if you would like to share it with other colleagues or watch it again. It'll be on our website by next Monday. Today we're going to be covering highlights from DevSuite 9.1, and we'll be demoing just about all the features that we're going to be talking about. We'll talk a little bit about some special promotions that we have right now for existing customers and new customers. And then finally we'll finish up with questions and answers. Using the GoToWebinar bar that's on the right-hand side of your screen, you can look at the questions section and ask questions, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. We're scheduled for about 30 minutes, and in just a second we'll start looking at some of the features. So DevSuite 9.1 is the latest release of our ALM solution. And it's actually available right now on the download site, so you're able to download it and start using it right away. It has a number of new features that might be of interest to you. We've improved our Agile management, and Vineet's going to demonstrate that. We're actually going to demonstrate all these features. We've improved the Agile management. We've introduced a new product called Portfolio. We have a brand new reporting engine for both DevSpec and DevTrack. We've improved the MS Word integration for DevSpec. I'm going to be showing you our iPad and Android tablet interface, MyDevSuite 2.0. And then finally, I will demonstrate our new integration between DevTest and Jira, Bugzilla, and Mantis, as well as potentially other third-party defect tracking tools. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Vineet, who is our product manager for DevSuite. And if I can find Vineet. All right, there we go. So Vineet, are you there?
Yep.
All right.
Hey everyone.
So, yeah, go ahead and share your screen. Thanks.
Starting with the Agile improvements, first I wanted to talk about how you can implement the Agile methodology effectively in your organization. So basically, there are two trends going on currently in the industry. One is either all the teams are already using the Agile methodology and are already implementing Agile methodology, and there are other teams who are trying to move from traditional development methodologies like the waterfall to the Agile methodologies. So keeping that in mind, we have designed the DevTrack product, which would accommodate both these scenarios. So the way you can do that is under a single DevTrack project, you can create multiple sub-projects, and each sub-project is available to follow a different methodology altogether. So for example, I have a project which is following the Agile methodology, and I have another project which is following the traditional development methodology. So the advantage of doing that is if you are already using the waterfall methodology, so you can create a development space which would look something like this and would have milestones, and then you can keep tracking your items in that. But at the same time, you can create a different sub-project which would follow the Agile methodology. So as you are in your process of implementing the Agile methodology, you can slowly prototype your future releases into the Agile methodology, into the Agile framework, and then from the next release onwards, you can completely transform over from traditional to Agile. So the bottom line is under a single project, you can manage both your Agile and traditional development methodologies. Also, for each of the Agile methodologies you're following, you have the concept of release backlog and the product backlog. and you can switch the product backlog and release backlog folders to and fro to convert the product backlog to the release and then to the sprint backlog. The other cool feature about DevTrack is our storyboard view. So once you switch to the storyboard view, you get a more visually appealing board. So we have done a few, quite a few improvements in the storyboard, like for example, you have a bunch of issues that are assigned to a specific group of people. So in this case, we have assigned a bunch of issues to the programmers' common issues. So now in the storyboard, you can group those issues based on the member groups. So like I have the programmers group, I have the QA group, and then again I have the issues and basically the stories and tasks grouped by the individual members as well. The other important feature in Storyboard is now you can change the state of your story or task just by using the drag and drop functionality. So you can just select one of the tasks or story from to be assigned state, and you can just transfer it to another state called the finished state and enter the details here for your task. Once you submit, you can view that task has been updated under the finished state. The other feature is now you can also update your time spent, time remaining by just by just doing a mouse rollover on your task or on your story. So basically, when you are tracking your task, when you are in your daily Scrum meeting, that during that time you can just roll over your assigned task and you can update the time spent and time remaining for your task, and it will be updated in real time. The other portion is for each of the member groups. You have a summary listed on the top which would define the group's workload, the time spent, time remaining, and the number of tasks and story assigned to that group. So instead of managing or tracking individual users' work items, you can now track or manage items assigned to specific groups. The other important and the most striking feature about DevTrack is, so for any particular story, so you can now create the test cases, or you can now associate the test cases along for any particular story. So just click on that, just select that story, and from the test cases tab, you will get the DevTrack test template project there, and then you are free to either select one of the existing projects, or you can create all new test templates. So the advantage of using that is this basically ensures the verification and validation for your product. So you know that whatever the requirement is, so basically you can map your development and QA items or the test items that you are creating, so that you don't, so that you can make sure that you don't have any gaps between what is being developed and what is being tested versus what was intended. The other improvement in the DevTrack is our planning view. So now with the planning view, you get the requirements and the release backlogs listed down here. And then when you are in your product planning meeting, you can just drag and drop items from one backlog space to another backlog space. The next important improvement in our DevTrack 9.1, in a DevSuite 9.1, is our reporting. So we have completely revamped our reporting view. So when you switch to the reporting view, you will see the same project tree structure on the left, which we have tried to keep it consistent with our task and story view. So now at any level, or sub-project level, you can just right-click on that project, and you can directly create a new report. For example, for this parent project, I have multiple reports created with the small thumbnail which shows the snapshot of that report. So now if I want to create a report, I can just go to that particular sprint and create a new report. And then based on the selection of the report, the parameters of that report would change. So suppose I select the burn down report. So based on that selection, I can select 3 different types of burn down reports itself. And then I can choose to display various options in the burn down reports. So let's just quickly create one report. And also you can adjust the time interval, burn down unit, and all these controls are just specific to burn down report. But again, if you switch to a different report, the controls would change, and you can again customize your report as per your requirements. So now we just create a new report, and now specifically for sprint 2, we have just created the burn down report, which would show the time remaining and time spent for your task. The other important feature is that at every data point in the report, you get a quick summary of the day, time spent, time remaining, velocity, etc. And also you get the list of stories and tasks under that sprint. Likewise, for any development space, you can create velocity reports which would span across multiple sprints. Like in this case, under this development project, I have 4 sprints. So this velocity report shows me the data for 4 different sprints. And likewise, I have a global report folder, which basically in the global report folder you can create reports which would span across multiple development spaces. The next important update in DevSuite 9.1 is we have introduced the portfolio, which we call it as the portfolio view. So the portfolio view basically will act as a manager's tool, or probably as the executive's tool. So in every project, there are a few events that determine the overall health of the project. So those events could be such as financial events, probably the risk events, or the contract events. So for every project we have 4 different type of events that the managers can create to determine the health of the project. And these events can be created at any project or sub-project level. For example, my beta release has been delayed, so I can go to my delay event and add all the additional details, my risk description, my risk mitigation plan, my risk possibility and impact, and I can also set the alarm level indicating how critical this risk is. Once submitted, you get an alert against that risk, and those alerts are then rolled up against the project. So for my content sharing manager version 2.0 project, I get the different alert levels, and these alert levels will help me to determine whether my project is progressing on the right path, or whether I should be taking some critical business decision to change the trajectory of my project. The other feature in our DevSuite 9.1 is the improved MS Word integration. So now with the 9.1 we have introduced the concept of an idea player. So if you are tracking all your requirements in the Microsoft Word document, which is kind of the most popularly used tool for requirements, for creating your requirements. So now you can create your requirements, and using our Word add-in feature, you can create child specifications from those requirements. And the other important feature is the auto-populate feature. So using the auto-populate feature, you can select the level, the different style, and based on those selections, the Microsoft Word add-in by TechExcel would analyze your complete documents and will give you a set of specifications that need to be created. So once created, you can view that epic document as an idea. So once your idea player opens, so you get a list of, so currently I'm in my parent epic document. So my parent epic document now has the list of child specifications. So so basically with this list now I can select any of these specifications, and my document would directly, my tool would directly jump to that particular specification in the document. So basically this avoids the hassle of searching for a specific feature or specification in the huge document that you have. So I can just quickly browse through any of the documents that I have in place. And again, since it's a two-way sync, as in when you update your Microsoft Word document, these epics will be updated in the DevSpec space. The last portion is the reporting in DevSpec, which is again very similar to the reporting in the DevTrack. So we have kept the reporting consistent between DevTrack and DevSpec. So here you can see the traceability report again between your requirements, your development items, and QA items. Thank you. So now Jason will walk you through our iPad and Android application, and will demo the dev test with Jira integration.
Okay, thanks so much, Vineet. All right. So let's see. I'm going to now show you our iPad application. All right. So now. So you may remember 9.0 released MyDevSuite version 1.0, and 1.0 allowed you to basically manage your tasks. Well, with the new release of DevSuite 9.1, we've updated MyDevSuite to include a number of new features. Right now I'm using an emulator to show you what it does look like if you're utilizing either an iPad or any Android tablet. You can download the application from App Store and Google Play, and by default, when you install it, you'll be able to play with a sample project using our Try It Live site, which is also what I'm using right now too. To actually connect to your own data, you just need to contact your salesperson, and they can coordinate with you getting the files you need to install on your web server. So the MyDevSuite interface allows you to view all of the items that might be assigned to you or other team members. You can also update those items and drill in to look at the details. Some of the improvements we've made in the most recent version is, just as Vineet was just showing you, the ability to see those child tasks in the requirement view from the Word document. You can also view those on the iPad. So I can look at a document that I might have, even if I am offline, maybe I'm on a flight or something like that. I can review any documents I may have saved, and I can also view any of the child specs that are present there too and jump to them. The other big change that was added in the latest release is also the ability to view your reports. So now there is a report view also, just very similar to what you saw in Vineet was just showing us, so that I can go to any of the development spaces I have, and I can then view my reports. And let's see, I'm going to go to DevTrack instead, and I'm going to look at some of my reports there. So just in a very similar interface that we saw in the web client, you can also see those reports too. They use the subproject tree and the development spaces as the context, and then you can drill into them to see the details of any of those reports. So it's very convenient if you can bring your tablet into a meeting and share reports with other team members. All right. The last feature that we're going to be showing today before we open it up for questions, and I should mention that if you'd like to ask us any questions, on the right-hand side of your screen there is a section that says questions. Type it into the interface there, and then we'd be happy to answer them after we're done with the demos. But the last feature that I'll be showing you today is our new third-party defect tracking integration that's built into DevTest. So we understand that not every DevTest user is using DevTrack for every project. And because of that, we wanted to make DevTest more flexible to support other defect tracking tools. You can still use DevTrack for one project, and you could use Bugzilla or Morant or Jira for another project. It also has the ability to potentially be used with homegrown tools you may have, as long as they're web-based and can provide a URL for submitting bugs. What the integration does is it takes a lot of the built-in functionality that we already have in DevTest regarding triggering bugs and the reporting and also some of the planning wizard features, and it opens up to these third-party defect tracking systems. So when I am in the task view in DevTest and I am running my test assignments, just like as if I was using DevTrack before, if I have a triggering state of fail to trigger a defect, when I click Save, I'm going to receive a pop-up dialog. That pop-up dialog, if I'm using the Jira integration, is going to give me two options. One, I can submit a new bug, or two, I can browse for a bug that might be in Jira based on the ID. In this case, I'm going to submit a new bug. The first time that you log into Jira, you would need to enter your credentials. And let's see if I've already got that taken care of. I do. What it allows you to do is from Jira, I select the project and the issue type. Then I can add my bug details. This is a bug. And a description. And of course, this is going to be whatever your interface is in the tool that you're using. So if you're using Bugzilla, you would see a completely different screen, of course. You're going to see the actual interfaces that are present in that tool. I'm going to click Create. And this is the important part. I need to remember the ID. So I can just copy that, for example, and then I can add that to DevTest to form that link. And we'll show you what that link does in a minute. And then I can add a note, new bug in webinar. Okay? And then I'm going to click OK. So what I've done is I've established a link between that bug that I just submitted into Jira and DevTest. So when I click on the link defects page, I'm going to see a link to that bug, new bug in webinar. I can click on this to go and view the details of that bug in whatever tool you're using. Now, if you're familiar with DevTest and the DevTest DevTrack integration, you may have noticed that there is not field mapping and such in the third-party defect integrations. That is true. So we're not able to do all the same things that we do with our DevTrack integration. So our DevTrack integration will always be a little bit better. But this does allow you to establish those links. Those links will also enable you to search. So when I click on the search interface, for example, I can look for all the tabs that have linked bugs. I can also search by ID if I know the ID, and I can also do a keyword search based on the defect note. All right. In addition to being able to use the search interface and showing them as linked defects, it'll also be present in the planning view. So the planning view also will have not only the functionality within the wizard to allow you to assign out test cases that have linked Jira bugs. We'll also be able to show the defect count here so that you can keep track of how many bugs have been found so far. And finally, any reports that utilize that defect count concept, like our test effectiveness report that might be in the template view, or list reports that show bug details or summary reports, all of those will also be updated based on the contents of, or the number of Jira bugs and the contents of those links. So that is our third-party defect tracking integration. Definitely recommend you take a look at the DevTrack integration too if you've not done so already. But this does add some additional flexibility so that you can use DevTest, on a project-by-project basis with other tools. So each project can have its own defect tracking tool. Okay, so we're going to head back to the PowerPoint for 1 second, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about a couple special offers that we have right now that are open to new and existing customers. The first is that if you are an existing DevTrack Enterprise customer or DevTest customer, you can upgrade 10 of your licenses to DevSuite at no charge. And we'll even throw in maintenance to your next expiration. That way you can try out DevSpec. Maybe you haven't had a chance to try out DevSpec or DevTest yet. This gives you an opportunity to take some of your existing licenses and try it out. The second offer is that until the end of the year, we are going to be offering DevSuite multi-site upgrades at 50% off. DevSuite multi-site allows you to have replicated database and web servers. So if you are a globally distributed company, you do have the ability to have each location to have its own local DevSuite installation, which can greatly improve performance if you have limited bandwidth between sites. So those are a couple special offers we have there. And now with that, let's take a look at some of the questions that you have submitted so far. So one of the first questions that I'm going to take a look at is that we have a question about the availability of DevSuite 9.1. DevSuite 9.1 is currently available on the download site that you can reach from the customer care login from the TechExcel homepage. And there is a question here about the Windows client. So the Windows client is not available in DevSuite 9.1 except for DevTest. So DevTest, so you can continue to use the web client with 9.1, but for DevTrack and DevSpec, and this is important if you are a current customer and you are using the Windows client extensively, you're going to need to wait till 9.2, which is going to be out later this year, and that will provide you with the Windows client. If you're a new customer, all that means is, or prospect, all that means is that you will have access to the web client. Everything we've shown today has been based on the web client, and that the Windows client would be available later. All right. Let's see, there's another question. Can you provide a demo of an integration with TestLink? I'm assuming that question is about the third-party tool TestLink, but we also have an API called TestLink that allows you to integrate DevTest with third-party automation tools, and that's kind of beyond the scope of our webinar today, but if you would like to see that, you're free to contact your account manager, and I'd be happy to schedule something and I could walk you through the automation. If you are talking about the third-party tool TestLink, we don't have an integration with it at this time, but you could use the API to integrate with it also. Okay, let's see. Yeah, can we use ClearQuest instead of Jira? At this time, we have not tested to see whether ClearQuest would have similar URL support that Jira and Bugzilla and Mantis have. We could certainly look into it and see if that would be something we can do. But we did design, that integration with the idea that it would be flexible to accommodate other tools. So there's always different strategies for letting you integrate with those. Is the Try It Live version 9.1? Yes. So if you go to the Try It Live site, you will get to try out 9.1 on that site. Another question about the Windows client, it will be available in 9.2, which is going to be the next release. Okay, here's a question about one of the special offers. Is the license upgrade offer good for DevTrack customers? Yes, it is. It's good for DevTrack Enterprise Edition customers, though if you happen to still be on DevTrack Standard, I would highly recommend talking to your salesperson or your account manager, I should say, and they can tell you what your options are. Okay, quite a few additional questions about different bug tracking tools for the DevTest integration. At this point, it's probably easier to just tell you which ones we support right now. So right now, that integration supports Jira, Bugzilla, and Mantis. So, but we're happy to look into other ones too. Do we have any plans to implement an Excel add-on too? So for getting data from Excel into any of our tools, so whether it's DevSpec, DevTest, or DevTrack, we do have a text-based import functionality. So that allows you to take that Excel spreadsheet, save it as a text file, and then we have a wizard-based import function that will allow you to select which columns in that spreadsheet or flat file you would like to import into the tools. That's our current approach. We'd be happy to hear about ideas that you might have around Excel toolbar, but right now it's a Word toolbar and then an Excel import. Okay, the extra cost with TestLink, yes, there is a module. The API module does come with an additional cost, and you should check with your account manager on that. Is there any integration with TFS? Yes, there is an integration with TFS. DevTrack has an integration with TFS, and what TFS allows you to do is it allows you to link your check-ins and the issues that are stored in TFS. It allows you to synchronize them with issues that would be in DevTrack. Okay, more questions about other bug tracking systems. We're happy to look into it, but right now we only support those 3 that I mentioned already. But there's always a possibility to do more. Okay, let's see if we've got a couple other questions here. Okay, we've got a question for Vineet about Agile support and other methodologies. Vineet, would you mention some of the other Agile methodologies that you could support using the DevTrack interface?
Yeah. So with the DevTrack interface, when I mention Agile, so we can support Scrum, we can support Kanban, and through the especially through Storyboards. So these are the 2 most popular methodologies in Agile. So we support both of them. Okay,
great. We have a question about importing bugs from an existing tool into DevTrack. So yeah, the same mechanism that you would use for importing items from an Excel spreadsheet can be used with many other defect tracking tools. So what you're able to do is export, as long as that tool has the ability to export, or there are ways that we can export it from the database and then import them in. Once again, we can talk to your account manager and then also our professional services team, and we do that all the time. Question for Vineet. You said the MS Word integration was 2 ways. If I import Word to DevSpec, change it in DevSpec, can I get it back out to the same Word document?
Yes. So once you have updated all your specifications in Word, then you can use the wiki edit or the Word edit. And when you make the changes in DevSpec, those will be reflected back to the Word document as well.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, and let's see. One more. Trying to pick one more question to answer. Okay, the last question is about the multi-site, and the question is whether or not the multi-site will handle documents and attachments. So yes, the way the multi-site functionality works is it allows between the issues, it'll only sync the delta, and for documents, we utilize a proxy server to allow the documents to be stored at each location based on demand. So it will make downloading any documents you have much faster, and it'll also make accessing issues a lot quicker. And I said that was the last question, but there's one more question about multi-site that I'll answer too. It asks about license across multi-site. We utilize a central license manager so that any of your fixed user licenses are already going to be available across all those sites too. Okay, thanks so much for joining us today. If you log into our website and the customer care portal on the download site, what you'll see is a release note that in great detail. Vineet was extremely thorough in the release note this time. It's pages and pages and pages. We'll detail all of the new features that are available. We've also added to the support tab on the TechExcel website some training videos that cover a lot of the new features also. So you'll be able to go to those videos and watch them too if you want to learn more. All right, thanks so much, and everyone have a great rest of your day.